1. A routine morning. Johnathan John Thompson started his day like any other. The sun was shining, and the city of Centerville was already buzzing with activity. As the CEO of a thriving tech startup, John followed a strict morning routine. He went for a jog, enjoyed a healthy breakfast, and reviewed his schedule for the day. Today, he had an important task to complete at the bank, making a significant deposit from a major contract his company had just secured. John's achievements were a testament to his hard work and perseverance. Coming from humble beginnings, he had built his company from the ground up. Despite his success, John remained grounded and treated everyone with respect. Dressed in a sharp suit, he exuded confidence and professionalism. Little did he know his routine visit to the bank was about to turn into a life-changing event. The Central Bank of Centerville was a symbol of prosperity and efficiency. Its modern glass facade reflected the morning sunlight, and inside the atmosphere was sophisticated and welcoming. John had been a valued client for years, and he expected his visit to be no different from any other. As he walked through the revolving doors, he smiled at the familiar faces of the staff who greeted him warmly. However, today was different. Emily, a new bank teller, had joined the executive service counter. She prided herself on her ability to judge people at a glance, relying heavily on her preconceived notions. When she saw John approaching, she felt a wave of skepticism. To her, he didn't look like the typical high-income client she was used to serving. 2. Entering Central Bank. John entered Central Bank with a sense of purpose. He was there to deposit a substantial amount of money from a lucrative deal his company had closed. As he made his way to the executive service counter, he noticed the usual hustle and bustle of the bank. Customers from all walks of life moved about, each attending to their financial matters. At the counter, Emily was meticulously organizing documents. She glanced up as John approached, her eyes scanning him from head to toe. Despite his impeccable attire and confident demeanor, she felt an inexplicable distrust. To her, he didn't fit the mold of the affluent clients she typically dealt with. She decided to put her preconceived judgments into action. "Good morning," John greeted Emily with a warm smile. "I'd like to make a deposit, please." Emily's response was curt. "This is the executive service counter. Are you sure you're in the right place?" She masked her skepticism with a professional tone, but her body language betrayed her true feelings. John, taken aback by her dismissive attitude, maintained his composure. "Yes, I'm in the right place. I have an account here," he replied, handing over his identification. 3. First impressions of John. Emily took John's identification and examined it with undue scrutiny. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Despite the clear legitimacy of his documents, her biases clouded her judgment. "I need to see additional identification," she demanded, her tone cold and authoritative. John, maintaining his patience, handed over his driver's license and passport. He had never encountered such resistance before, especially not at this bank where he had been a loyal client for years. Emily's behavior was not just puzzling, it was deeply unsettling. He could sense the judgment in her eyes, and it was clear that she doubted his credibility based solely on his appearance. As Emily continued to scrutinize his documents, the bank's atmosphere shifted. Customers and staff began to take notice of the unfolding scene. John felt the weight of their gazes, but remained calm. He knew that reacting angrily would only escalate the situation. "Is there a problem with my identification?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Emily's response was dismissive. "I'm just following protocol. We need to ensure all transactions are secure," she said, still not convinced of John's legitimacy. This interaction was a stark reminder of the prejudices that still permeated society, even in a progressive city like Centerville. 4. Emily's skeptical gaze. Emily's skepticism only deepened as she continued to interact with John. Despite his calm demeanor and the clear authenticity of his documents, she couldn't let go of her preconceived notions. To her, John simply didn't fit the image of a millionaire. She decided to take further action to verify his identity. "I'm going to need to call and verify your information," Emily stated, reaching for the phone. John nodded, understanding the importance of security measures, but feeling increasingly humiliated by the unnecessary scrutiny. He provided the contact information for his company, knowing that his assistant would be able to confirm everything. As Emily dialed the number, the tension in the bank lobby grew. Other customers whispered among themselves, and bank employees exchanged uneasy glances. John stood there, trying to remain composed, but the experience was deeply degrading. He couldn't believe he was being treated this way simply because of his race. The phone call was brief. Emily's expression changed as she spoke with John's assistant, who confirmed his identity and the legitimacy of the deposit. Realizing her mistake, Emily felt a pang of guilt, but her pride wouldn't allow her to admit it openly. "Everything seems to be in order," she said, handing back his documents. "You can proceed with the deposit." Continued in the next subtitulo. Continue. 5. Request for documents. Even though Emily had received confirmation, she still felt the need to exert her authority. "I need additional documentation regarding the source of the funds," she said, her tone unyielding. John, maintaining his composure, handed over the contract and other necessary documents from his briefcase. Emily meticulously examined each document, looking for any discrepancies. Her behavior was not only unwarranted, but also unprofessional. John stood silently, feeling the weight of every passing second as more eyes in the lobby turned towards them. The humiliation was palpable, but he knew that losing his temper wouldn't help. Other customers started to murmur, sensing the tension. Some were shocked by the way John was being treated, while others just watched the scene unfold with curiosity. The bank, usually a place of smooth transactions, had turned into a stage for this uncomfortable confrontation. Finally, Emily finished scrutinizing the documents. "Everything appears to be in order," she said reluctantly. The damage, however, was already done. John had been publicly humiliated, and Emily's prejudice had been laid bare for all to see. 6. The distrust grows. John couldn't help but feel the growing frustration inside him. "Is there anything else you need?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm despite the embarrassment and anger bubbling beneath the surface. Emily looked at him with a mix of guilt and stubbornness. "No, that will be all," she replied, finally processing the deposit. As Emily completed the transaction, John noticed the stares and whispers from the other customers and bank employees. He felt a deep sense of injustice, but also a determination to address this issue. No one should have to go through what he just experienced. With the deposit slip in hand, John took a deep breath. "Thank you," he said, his voice firm. "I hope this serves as a reminder that not everyone can be judged by their appearance." Emily said nothing, her face flushed with embarrassment. John walked away from the counter, feeling a mix of relief and indignation. He knew he needed to take further action to ensure this kind of discrimination wouldn't happen again. As he exited the bank, he made a mental note to speak with the manager and possibly take legal action if necessary. 7. Public humiliation. The moment John left the counter, he felt a sense of release, but also the lingering sting of public humiliation. People in the bank lobby had witnessed the entire interaction, and he could feel their eyes following him as he made his way out. It was not just the personal affront that bothered him, but the broader implications of such prejudice. Outside, John took a moment to gather his thoughts. He called his assistant, Sarah, to inform her about the incident. "I've just had a very disturbing experience at the bank," he began. Sarah listened attentively as John recounted the events. "This is unacceptable, John. We need to report this," she responded, her voice filled with concern. John agreed. "I'll talk to the bank manager right away. This kind of behavior can't be tolerated," he said. Determined, he turned back and re-entered the bank, heading straight for the manager's office. Inside the office, John explained the situation to Michael, the bank manager. Michael listened, his expression turning from concern to shock. "I assure you, Mr. Thompson, we take this very seriously. I'll address this immediately," he promised. John nodded, feeling a bit of relief that his concerns were being taken seriously. 8. Calling the manager, Michael escorted John back to the lobby, calling Emily over for a discussion. "Emily, we need to talk about your conduct with Mr. Thompson," Michael began, his tone serious. Emily looked nervous, fully aware that her actions had been observed by many. John explained his side of the story, detailing the unnecessary scrutiny and disrespect he had faced. Emily, now visibly remorseful, tried to defend herself. "I was just following protocol," she said weakly. Michael, however, was not convinced. "Protocol is one thing, but what you did was beyond that. It was discriminatory," he stated firmly. Emily's face reddened with embarrassment and shame. She realized the gravity of her actions and the impact they had on John. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson. I didn't mean to cause you any distress," she said, her voice trembling. John accepted her apology but emphasized the need for change. "Thank you, but this shouldn't happen to anyone else. There needs to be better training and awareness," he said. Michael agreed, promising to implement new diversity and sensitivity training programs for all bank employees. 9. Truth revealed. As the manager and John discussed the incident, Emily stood by, feeling the full weight of her actions. She had judged John unfairly and now had to face the consequences. Michael assured John that steps would be taken to prevent such incidents in the future. "We'll start with immediate training sessions for all staff. This kind of behavior will not be tolerated," he said. John appreciated the swift response but knew that change wouldn't happen overnight. "Thank you, Michael. I hope this is a step towards better treatment for everyone," he said, shaking the manager's hand. Michael nodded. "Absolutely. We're committed to making things right." Emily, meanwhile, reflected on her actions and the prejudices that had led her to judge John unfairly. She felt a deep sense of regret and a desire to make amends. "Mr. Thompson, I truly am sorry. I will do everything I can to change," she said sincerely. John accepted her apology with grace. "I hope you do, Emily. It's important to treat everyone with respect, regardless of their appearance," he said. With that, he left the bank, feeling a mixture of relief and determination to see real change. 10. Emily's shock. The realization of her mistake hit Emily hard. She had judged John based on his appearance and subjected him to unnecessary scrutiny, causing public humiliation. As the manager reiterated the importance of diversity and inclusion training, Emily knew she had a lot to learn. She felt ashamed and deeply remorseful. "I never intended to hurt anyone. I just thought I was doing my job," she said quietly to Michael after John left. Michael looked at her with a mix of disappointment and compassion. "Emily, it's crucial to understand that our biases can lead to unjust treatment. We need to do better," he said. Emily nodded, determined to change. "I'll participate in the training and do everything I can to improve," she promised. Michael appreciated her willingness to learn and hoped that this incident would serve as a powerful lesson for everyone in the bank. As Emily returned to her duties, she couldn't shake the image of John's composed yet hurt expression. She knew she had a long way to go in overcoming her prejudices and treating every customer with the respect they deserved. Continued in the next subtitulo. Continue. 11. Manager takes action. Michael, the bank manager, knew that a swift response was necessary. The incident with John had not only highlighted the biases within his staff, but also threatened the bank's reputation. He called an emergency meeting with the senior management team to discuss immediate actions. "We cannot afford to let this go unchecked," he began. "We need to implement comprehensive diversity and sensitivity training for all employees." The management team agreed unanimously. They discussed various training programs and decided to bring in external experts to conduct the sessions. These experts would provide an unbiased perspective and ensure that the training was both effective and engaging. "We need to change the culture here," Michael emphasized. "Everyone must understand the importance of treating every customer with dignity and respect." Michael also decided to personally oversee the training sessions. He wanted to ensure that the message was clear and that all employees understood the gravity of the situation. "This isn't just about avoiding lawsuit," he said. "It's about creating a welcoming and inclusive environment for all our clients." The plan was set in motion immediately. Invitations were sent out to various diversity and inclusion experts, and dates were scheduled for the training sessions. Michael felt a sense of urgency and responsibility. The incident with John had been a wake-up call, and he was determined to turn it into a positive change for the bank. 12. Apology issued. As part of the corrective measures, Michael issued a formal apology to John. He called John to inform him of the steps being taken. "Mr. Thompson, I want to personally apologize for the treatment you received at our bank," Michael began. "We are taking immediate action to ensure this does not happen again. Diversity and sensitivity training will be implemented for all employees starting next week." John appreciated the gesture. "Thank you, Michael. It's good to hear that you're taking this seriously," he replied. "I hope these changes will lead to a more inclusive and respectful environment for everyone." Michael assured him that this was the beginning of a broader effort to transform the bank's culture. A public apology was also issued. The bank released a statement acknowledging the incident and outlining the steps being taken to address it. Central Bank deeply regrets the incident that occurred with Mr. John Thompson. "We are committed to fostering an environment of respect and inclusion. Immediate steps are being taken to provide diversity and sensitivity training to all our employees," the statement read. This public acknowledgement was crucial. It showed the community that the bank was taking responsibility and working towards positive change. John felt a sense of relief knowing that his experience had led to tangible actions. 13. John's response. John's response to the bank's apology and the steps being taken was positive but cautious. He appreciated the efforts but knew that true change would take time. "It's a good start," he told Michael during their conversation. "But this needs to be an ongoing commitment, not just a one-time reaction to a single incident." Michael agreed wholeheartedly. "We are committed to long-term change, Mr. Thompson. Your experience has highlighted the need for continuous improvement, and we are dedicated to that process," he assured John. John decided to use his platform to raise awareness about the importance of diversity and inclusion in all areas of life, not just in banking. He began speaking at events and participating in discussions about overcoming prejudice and creating inclusive environments. His story became a powerful example of the impact of bias and the importance of addressing it. "I hope my experience can serve as a lesson," John said during one of his talks. "We all have biases, but it's crucial to recognize them and work towards treating everyone with the respect and dignity they deserve." His message resonated with many, sparking conversations and prompting other organizations to examine their own practices. 14. Incident repercussions. The incident had far-reaching repercussions. News of John's experience at the bank spread quickly, drawing significant attention. Local media picked up the story, and it became a topic of discussion on social media. Many people expressed their outrage and shared their own experiences of prejudice and discrimination. Central Bank faced a wave of negative publicity. Customers began questioning their practices and demanded assurances that such incidents would not occur again. Some even closed their accounts in protest, seeking banks with better reputations for treating all customers equally. Michael knew that the bank's reputation was on the line. He worked tirelessly to manage the fallout and reassure customers. "We are taking concrete steps to address this issue," he repeated in numerous interviews. "We are committed to making Central Bank a place where everyone is treated with respect and dignity." The bank's efforts to address the situation began to gain traction. The public apology, combined with the announcement of the new training programs, started to restore some trust. Customers appreciated the transparency and the proactive approach to solving the problem. However, the bank knew that regaining full trust would take time and consistent effort. 15. Wave of indignation. The public's reaction to the incident was intense. Many people were shocked and angered by Emily's behavior and the discrimination John faced. Social media was ablaze with comments, criticisms, and calls for action. Hashtags like #JusticeForJohn and #BankingWhileBlack started trending, amplifying the conversation. Community leaders and activists also got involved, using the incident to highlight broader issues of racial prejudice and discrimination. They organized rallies and meetings to discuss ways to combat these problems in all sectors of society. John was invited to speak at several of these events, sharing his experience and advocating for change. The bank faced increased scrutiny from regulators and advocacy groups. They demanded to know what steps were being taken to prevent such incidents in the future. Michael had to provide detailed reports on the new training programs and the measures being implemented to address the issue. Despite the challenges, The wave of indignation also brought about positive change. Other institutions took notice and began examining their own policies and practices. The incident at Central Bank became a catalyst for a broader movement towards greater inclusion and equality. 16. Emily's suspension. As part of the immediate response, Emily was suspended from her duties. Michael knew that this step was necessary to show that the bank was serious about addressing the incident. Emily, your actions have had serious consequences, not just for Mr. Thompson, but for the bank's reputation as well, he told her. You are suspended pending further investigation and the outcome of the training programs. Emily accepted her suspension with a heavy heart. She realized that her biases and actions had led to significant repercussions, not only for John but for herself in the institution she worked for. During her suspension, she reflected deeply on her behavior and its impact. She knew she had a lot to learn and a long way to go in overcoming her prejudices. While suspended, Emily took it upon herself to start educating herself about diversity and inclusion. She read books, attended seminars, and engaged in discussions to better understand the issues. She wanted to return to her job with a new perspective and a commitment to treating everyone with the respect they deserved. The suspension served as a wake-up call for Emily and a reminder to the rest of the staff about the importance of treating all customers fairly. It was a difficult but necessary step in the bank's journey towards creating a more inclusive and respectful environment. 17. Emily's reflections. During her suspension, Emily had ample time to reflect on her actions and their consequences. She realized how her biases had clouded her judgment and led to unfair treatment of a valued customer. The experience was humbling and opened her eyes to the deep-seated prejudices she held. She spent her days reading about diversity, equality, and inclusion. Books by authors from diverse backgrounds provided her with new perspectives and insights. She attended workshops and seminars that focused on unconscious bias and how to combat it. The more she learned, the more she understood the importance of treating everyone with dignity and respect. Emily also sought out conversations with people who had experienced discrimination firsthand. Listening to their stories was eye-opening and helped her empathize with their struggles. She realized that her actions at the bank were part of a larger problem that many people face daily. Determined to change, Emily made a personal commitment to become a better person. She wanted to use her experience as a catalyst for growth and transformation. When she returned to work, she hoped to contribute positively to the bank's efforts to create a more inclusive environment. 18. Changes in the bank. The incident with John and Emily prompted significant changes within Central Bank. The management team, led by Michael, implemented comprehensive diversity and sensitivity training for all employees. These programs were designed to address unconscious biases and promote a culture of respect and inclusion. External experts were brought in to conduct the training sessions. They used interactive methods, including role-playing and group discussions, to engage employees and help them understand the impact of their actions. The goal was not just to follow protocols, but to foster genuine empathy and understanding. The bank also reviewed its policies and procedures to ensure they were fair and inclusive. Customer feedback mechanisms were enhanced to allow clients to report any concerns or issues anonymously. This feedback was taken seriously and used to make continuous improvements. Regular follow-up sessions were scheduled to reinforce the training and keep the momentum going. Michael knew that creating a truly inclusive environment was an ongoing process. He made it clear that any form of discrimination would not be tolerated, and that the bank was committed to treating every customer with the utmost respect. 19. Diversity training. The diversity training sessions at Central Bank were intensive and transformative. Employees participated in workshops that covered a range of topics, from understanding unconscious bias to effective communication and empathy. The training was designed to be interactive, encouraging employees to engage actively and reflect on their own behaviors. One of the key components of the training was role-playing exercises. Employees were put in scenarios where they had to navigate challenging customer interactions. These exercises helped them understand the impact of their words and actions from different perspectives. It was a powerful way. Continue 1/2 to internalize the lessons and apply them in real-life situations. The trainers also facilitated open discussions where employees could share their experiences and thoughts. These conversations were crucial for building understanding and empathy among the staff. Many employees admitted to having unconscious biases and expressed a willingness to change. The training sessions created a safe space for honest dialogue and self-reflection. Michael made sure to participate in the sessions alongside his employees. His presence reinforced the importance of the training and demonstrated the bank's commitment from the top down. "We are all in this together," he would say. "Creating an inclusive environment is everyone's responsibility." The impact of the training was evident. Employees began to approach their work with a renewed sense of purpose and awareness. They were more mindful of their interactions with customers and each other. The atmosphere in the bank started to shift, becoming more welcoming and inclusive. It was a significant step forward in the bank's journey towards change. 20. Institutional transformation. The changes at Central Bank went beyond training. Michael and the management team worked on transforming the institution's culture and practices. They reviewed hiring policies to ensure a more diverse workforce and implemented mentorship programs to support employees from underrepresented backgrounds. The bank also established a diversity and inclusion committee. This group, composed of employees from various departments and levels, was tasked with monitoring progress, addressing concerns, and recommending further improvements. The committee met regularly and reported directly to senior management, ensuring that diversity and inclusion remained a priority. Customer service protocols were revised to be more equitable and inclusive. Employees were encouraged to provide personalized service while adhering to fair and respectful treatment for all customers. The feedback from these changes was overwhelmingly positive. Customers appreciated the improved service and the bank's efforts to address the incident transparently. Michael ensured that these changes were communicated clearly to both employees and customers. Regular updates were provided through internal newsletters and customer communications. The transparency helped rebuild trust and demonstrated the bank's commitment to lasting change. Central Bank was becoming a model for how institutions could address and overcome issues of prejudice and discrimination. 21. John's role. John embraced his role as an advocate for diversity and inclusion. He was invited to speak at various events, sharing his experience and the lessons learned. His story became a powerful example of the need for empathy and fairness in all interactions. John's voice added significant weight to the movement for change. He collaborated with Michael and the bank's diversity committee, providing insights and suggestions based on his experience. John's involvement was instrumental in shaping the training programs and policies. His perspective as both a successful businessman and a victim of prejudice provided valuable insights that the bank used to enhance its initiatives. John also continued his advocacy beyond the bank. He spoke at conferences, wrote articles, and participated in panels discussing diversity and inclusion in the business world. His message was clear: treating people with respect and dignity is not just a moral imperative, but also good for business. Companies that foster inclusive environments are more likely to succeed and innovate. Through his efforts, John hoped to inspire other organizations to examine their practices and make necessary changes. He believed that his experience at Central Bank could serve as a catalyst for broader societal change. John's commitment to advocacy ensured that the lessons from his ordeal would have a lasting impact. 22. John as advocate. John's advocacy work gained momentum. He became a sought-after speaker and a respected voice in discussions about diversity and inclusion. His story resonated with many, highlighting the everyday struggles faced by individuals due to unconscious biases and systemic prejudices. John used his platform to promote positive change and encourage others to take action. He partnered with various organizations to develop initiatives aimed at improving diversity and inclusion in the workplace. These partnerships resulted in workshops, seminars, and training programs that reached a wide audience. John's involvement lent credibility and visibility to these efforts, attracting more participants and support. John also mentored young entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, helping them navigate the challenges of the business world. He believed in giving back and supporting the next generation of leaders. His mentorship provided invaluable guidance and inspiration to those striving to overcome barriers and achieve their goals. Through his relentless efforts, John saw tangible results. Companies began implementing more inclusive policies, and individuals reported feeling more valued and respected in their workplaces. John's work was making a difference, one step at a time. His journey from a humiliated customer to a leading advocate for change was a testament to the power of resilience and determination. 23. Public campaign. In collaboration with Central Bank and other stakeholders, John helped launch a public campaign to raise awareness about the importance of diversity and inclusion. The campaign, titled Respect and Dignity for All, aimed to educate the public and encourage businesses to adopt inclusive practices. It featured testimonials, educational materials, and resources for organizations to improve their policies. The campaign garnered significant attention. Media outlets covered the launch, and influential figures endorsed the initiative. The message was clear: treating people with respect and dignity is essential for building a better, more equitable society. The campaign's reach extended beyond the business community, impacting schools, public institutions, and everyday interactions. Central Bank played a pivotal role in the campaign. They hosted events, sponsored seminars, and provided financial support for various initiatives. Michael and John appeared together at several public events, discussing the bank's journey and the importance of continuous improvement. Their partnership symbolized the positive change that could result from addressing issues head-on. The campaign's success was measured by the increased awareness and tangible changes in organizational practices. Surveys showed that more companies were adopting diversity training, and public sentiment shifted towards greater acceptance and understanding. John and Central Bank's collaborative efforts demonstrated that change was possible and beneficial for everyone. 24. Emily's apology. Despite the positive changes and progress, Emily struggled with the guilt and shame of her actions. She knew that a formal apology to John was necessary. Gathering her courage, she reached out to him, requesting a meeting. John, always willing to foster understanding and growth, agreed to meet with her. In a quiet corner of a local cafe, Emily met John. She felt nervous, but determined to express her regret. "Mr. Thompson, I want to sincerely apologize for my actions," she began, her voice trembling. "I judged you unfairly and treated you with disrespect. I'm deeply sorry for the pain I caused." John listened attentively, appreciating her honesty. "Thank you, Emily. I accept your apology," he replied. "What matters now is what you do going forward. I hope you've learned from this experience and will treat everyone with the respect they deserve." Emily nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I have learned a lot, and I'm committed to changing. I want to be part of the solution, not the problem," she said. John's forgiveness and encouragement meant a lot to her. It was a step towards healing and personal growth. Their meeting ended on a positive note. Emily felt a weight lifted off her shoulders, and John was glad to see her taking responsibility and committing to change. It was a moment of reconciliation and hope for a better future. 25. Mentorship and growth. After their meeting, John decided to take on a mentorship role for Emily. He saw her genuine desire to change and believed that guidance and support could help her on her journey. They began meeting regularly, discussing various topics related to diversity, inclusion, and personal development. John shared his experiences and insights, helping Emily understand the broader implications of her actions. He encouraged her to continue educating herself and to actively seek out opportunities to engage with people from diverse backgrounds. Emily, eager to learn, embraced the mentorship and applied the lessons in her daily life. Through John's mentorship, Emily gained a deeper understanding of empathy and respect. She started volunteering at community centers and participating in diversity workshops. These experiences further broadened her perspective and strengthened her commitment to change. Emily's growth was evident to her colleagues when she returned to work. She approached her job with renewed dedication and a more inclusive mindset. Her interactions with customers and coworkers improved, reflecting the lessons she had learned. Emily's journey from prejudice to understanding became an inspiring story within the bank. 26. Emily's reintegration. Emily's return to Central Bank was marked by significant changes. Her colleagues noticed her transformed attitude and approach to work. She was more considerate, patient, and respectful in her interactions. The training and mentorship had a profound impact on her, and she was determined to apply what she had learned. Michael welcomed her back, acknowledging her efforts to change. "Emily, I'm glad to see the progress you've made. Your dedication to learning and improving is commendable," he said. Emily felt a sense of pride and relief. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was on the right path. Emily also shared her story with her colleagues, hoping to inspire them to reflect on their own biases and behaviors. "We all have biases, but it's important to recognize and address them," she said during a staff meeting. Her openness and vulnerability resonated with many, fostering a culture of honesty and growth within the bank. Her reintegration was not without challenges, but Emily faced them with determination and a positive attitude. She continued to seek guidance from John and participated actively in the bank's diversity and inclusion initiatives. Emily's journey from prejudice to understanding became a powerful example of personal growth and transformation. 27. Creating a culture of inclusion. The changes within Central Bank were taking root. The diversity training programs, mentorship initiatives, and policy revisions were all part of a broader effort to create a culture of inclusion. Employees felt more empowered to speak up and share their ideas, knowing that their voices would be heard and respected. Michael and the management team continued to prioritize diversity and inclusion, making it a core value of the bank. They introduced regular check-ins and feedback sessions to monitor progress and identify areas for improvement. The Diversity and Inclusion Committee played a key role in this process, ensuring that the bank stayed on track. The positive changes were reflected in customer feedback as well. Many clients noticed the improved service and appreciated the bank's commitment to treating everyone with respect. John's involvement and advocacy also helped build trust and credibility, showing that the bank was serious about making a difference. The culture of inclusion extended beyond the bank's walls. Central Bank started supporting community initiatives and partnerships that promoted diversity and equality. These efforts helped strengthen the bank's reputation and demonstrated its commitment to being a positive force in the community. 28. A model for transformation. Central Bank's journey of transformation became a model for other institutions. The successful implementation of diversity and inclusion programs, combined with the visible changes in the bank's culture, attracted attention from various sectors. Other organizations sought to learn from Central Bank's experience and apply similar strategies. Michael and John were invited to speak at conferences and seminars, sharing their story and the lessons learned. Their presentations highlighted the importance of addressing biases, implementing comprehensive training, and fostering a culture of respect and empathy. The bank's success showed that these efforts were not only morally right, but also beneficial for business. The media coverage and public discussions further amplified the impact. Central Bank was recognized for its proactive approach and commitment to continuous improvement. The incident that had started as a moment of humiliation for John had transformed into a powerful catalyst for positive change. The bank's journey inspired many other institutions to examine their own practices and make necessary changes. Central Bank's experience demonstrated that transformation was possible with dedication, transparency, and a willingness to learn and grow. 29. John's continued advocacy. John continued his advocacy work with renewed vigor. He saw the positive changes at Central Bank and was motivated to push for similar transformations in other areas. He partnered with various organizations, from businesses to educational institutions, to promote diversity and inclusion. His message remained consistent: respect and dignity for all. John believed that treating people fairly and with empathy was the foundation for a better society. He used his platform to highlight the importance of addressing biases and creating inclusive environments where everyone could thrive. John's efforts extended globally. He spoke at international conferences and collaborated with global organizations to develop and implement diversity programs. His work was widely recognized, and he received numerous awards for his contributions to promoting equality and inclusion. Despite his busy schedule, John remained humble and grounded. He continued to mentor young entrepreneurs and support community initiatives. His experience at Central Bank had profoundly shaped his perspective, and he was committed to making a lasting impact. 30. A promising future. The future looked promising for both Central Bank and John. The bank had successfully transformed its culture and practices, becoming a model for others to follow. Employees were more engaged and motivated, and customers felt valued and respected. The incident that had once threatened the bank's reputation had become a turning point for positive change. John's advocacy work continued to make a difference. He inspired many with his story and efforts, showing that change was possible with determination and the right approach. His collaboration with Central Bank was a testament to the power of working together towards a common goal. As John reflected on his journey, he felt a sense of fulfillment. The humiliation he had faced at the bank had been painful, but it had also sparked a movement for change. He knew that the work was far from over, but he was hopeful for the future. The story of John and Central Bank served as a powerful reminder that adversity could lead to growth and transformation. By addressing biases, promoting empathy, and fostering inclusivity, it was possible to create a better, more equitable world for everyone.